What scientists just found under the Antarctica ice shelf is going to blow your minds. Buckle up, Buttercup. So, scientists launched a submersible drone about 10 miles under a glacier in Antarctica, and they found some 1,000-foot long structures with weird shapes that they can't really explain. Well, if you think that's weird, the submersible, after it scans underneath, I think it's the Dotson ice sheet, it just vanishes. So this thing disappears after it picks up these incredible anomalies in Antarctica. So buckle up, Buttercup. We're going to have some fun. I'm Rex Bear. How the heck are you? Hope you're having a beautiful day today. This is awesome. So I just got an email from Colin Plume, and I'm going to show this to you real quick. Gold has actually outperformed the S&P over the past 5 years. Look at the charts right here. 81%. That's fantastic. Persistent inflation combined with multiple wars has driven up demand for gold, helping it set a new all-time high over $2,400 an ounce. Analysts at the ANZ Bank recently said they expect central bank gold buying to remain hot for at least the next 6 years. According to these analysts, depleted trust in the U.S. fixed income assets and the rise of non-reserve currencies are other themes that could support central bank gold buying. Now, I want to give you some good news. If you've got a 401 or an IRA and you want to convert it into precious metals through Noble Gold Investments, if you qualify, give them a call and also go to the websites. They've got an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews. Noble Gold is the gold company that I trust. I personally worked with Noble Gold and Colin for the past 6 years. And you convert your 401 or IRA, you will be gifted, if you qualify, a beautiful 10-ounce solid silver American flag coin, or you can get limited edition solid silver Trump coins. These are 1-ounce rounds, and you will be gifted 10 of these. 1-877-646-5347 is their phone number. LeakProjectGold.com as well as NobleGoldInvestments.com. Let's jump back to the podcast right now. Scientists have recently uncovered mysterious shapes beneath the vast Antarctic ice, revealing what could be ancient structures hidden for millennia. In this groundbreaking video, we dive deep into the latest research from top scientific journals and institutions, including interesting engineering and science advances. We're going to talk about the mysterious shapes, what these strange formations beneath the ice could be. Are they remnants of an ancient civilization or natural geological phenomena? Scientific breakthroughs, insights from the recent studies of the Antarctic ice sheet, featuring cutting-edge technology and expert analysis that I'm going to comment on. Historical implications, how these discoveries could also rewrite our understanding of Earth's history and ancient human activity. This is unsettling. The Great Barrier Reef faces the warmest ocean temperatures on record, and the oceans are seeing temperatures higher than they have in the past 400 years. Then this is I mean, wow. Talk about living in a dystopian future. CNBC. Warren Buffett now owns more T-bills than the Federal Reserve. What? Oh, yeah. Yahoo Finance. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway now owns more short-term treasuries than the Fed. The firm increased its holdings by 81% year to date through June, now owning $234.6 billion worth. It's on track to generate annual risk-free interest of about $12 billion. Wow. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway now owns more short-term treasuries than the Federal Reserve. That's wow. Would you ever think that a company would hold more T-bills than the Federal Reserve? I mean, sign of the times. Okay, so if you've heard of the Dotson ice shelf, it's about 30 miles wide. It's between the Martin Peninsula and Bear Peninsula. That's pretty cool. It's on the coast of the Mary Bird Land in Antarctica, and it was first mapped in the U.S. Geological Survey from the air photos obtained in the U.S. Navy Operations High Jump, very interesting, in January of 1947. It was named by the Advisory Committee of the Antarctic Names. William Dotson, U.S. Navy, formerly officer in charge of the Ice Reconnaissance Unit of the Naval Oceanographic Office, killed in a plane crash in Alaska, November 1964, while on an ice reconnaissance mission. Interesting that they chose this area for the Project High Jump. And then there's so many theories about what happened there. I actually spoke with somebody that went out to Antarctica during 2 operations with Admiral Byrd, and I have that conversation that I will share with you in the future. Um, I asked him about what happened out there, and I can't wait to share it. But anyway, he was 103 at the time when I talked to him. Really nice guy, still sharp as a tack, hard of hearing, but just to get out there in today's conditions and today's technology is very difficult. Imagine going out there in the 40s. I think he went out there in 39 also. So anyway, this area, the scientists launch a submarine drone, a submergible drone 10 miles below the surface of this ice sheet. They map it out 54,000 feet underwater approximately. Massive ice sheet. They discover these weird anomalies that they can't explain, these ancient structures that they don't know how they were formed and created, but they've got some theories which are pretty cool. And as you can see right here, the ice shelf base to the left, to the right is a multi-beam map showing a smooth and eroded ice topography. An unmanned submarine conducted a first of its kind underside of an Antarctic glacier. Researchers at the University of Gothenburg discovered new indications about future sea level rise using this precise map. The autonomous underwater vehicle RAN was tasked with exploring the cavity beneath the Dotson ice shelf in West Antarctica. According to the researchers, an ice shelf is a floating platform of glacial ice that extends from the land and is fed by glaciers. Over 27 days, they scanned this massive ice shelf. Underside, they used sonar technologies. The vehicle surveyed over 1,000 kilometers of the Dotson ice shelf cavity in West Antarctica, and it was 17 kilometers deep. That's over 10 miles. Wow. Do the math on that. What's 5280 times 10? So 52,800 feet below. We have previously used satellite data and ice cores to observe how glaciers change over time. By navigating the submersible into the cavity, we were able to get high-resolution maps of the ice underside. It's a bit like seeing the back of the moon, said Anna Wallen, lead author and professor of oceanography at the University of Gothenburg. Enigmatic patterns. The vehicle's map revealed previously unseen teardrop-like patterns at the base of the ice shelf, which contrasted with the predicted smooth surface. That's very interesting. Unexpectedly, the glacier's base displayed a complex terrain of peaks, valleys, plateau-like structures, sand dune-like formations, and as per Live Science, the longest of these shapes measured 1,300 feet. It's pretty cool. These enigmatic shapes are believed to be the result of water flow influenced by Earth's rotation. It's called the Coriolis effect. As water flows across the ice, it creates swirling currents that carve out unique formations, such as these. The mapping has given us a lot of new data that we need to look at more closely. It is clear that many previous assumptions about melting of glacier undersides are falling short. Current models cannot explain the complex patterns we see. But with this method, we have a better chance of finding the answers, explained Wallen in the press release. So the Dotson ice shelf, 50-kilometer wide section floating ice. It's in West Antarctica. This region is experiencing significant glacial instability. Icebergs calving at an alarming rate. Experts predict potential collapse of the entire ice sheet could lead to a devastating global sea level increase, an increase of about 11 feet. We've been saying that for a long time, though. So it's like people are starting like, okay, man, you've been saying that for how many years? But according to the article, earlier studies demonstrate the ice shelf is undergoing a steady process of erosion at its edges. Erosion driven by warm ocean waters penetrating its underside, causing the ice shelf to become detached from land and ultimately collapse. As anticipated, the survey confirmed glacier melts most rapidly underwater. Current erode its base and fractures accelerate melting. The maps that RAND produced represent a huge progress in our understanding of Antarctica's ice shelves. We've had hints of how complex ice shelf bases are, but RAN uncovered a more extensive and complete picture than ever before. The imagery from the base of Dotson ice shelf helps us interpret and calibrate what we see from the satellites, said Karen Alley, a glaciologist from the University of Manitoba and co-author of this multidisciplinary study. So the name of the submersible is RAN. And the article goes on to say, unfortunately, RAN disappeared after diving beneath the Dotson ice shelf, but the gathered data proved to be highly significant. The team plans to return with a new submarine to further explore the unknown depths beneath the ice shelf. Read all about it, Science Advances, or livescience.com. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this submersible. So they found these teardrop shapes below the Dotson ice shelf in West Antarctica in 2022. They had a remotely operated vehicle, went 10 miles below the glacier, traveled over 600 miles along the underside of the ice. This is according to livescience.com. The researchers published the findings. This is a first of its kind survey in Science Advances. This was just published a few days ago. In order to understand the ice cycle in Antarctica and how ice gets from the continent into the ocean, we need to understand how it melts from beneath, a process that is equally important as calving for moving land ice to the ocean. Study lead author Anna Wallen, a professor of oceanography at the University of Gothenburg, told Live Science. The Dotson ice shelf, 30-mile wide chunk of floating ice, 7 times the size of New York City, is located on the coast of Mary Bird Land in West Antarctica. It's part of the West Antarctic ice sheet, which has dramatically calving glaciers that could cause sea level rises to approximately 11 feet if they eventually drive out the entire ice sheet collapse. Researchers wanted to understand the process better, so they put this ROV below the ice, which, by the way, is 1,150 feet thick. This ice shelf is 1,150 feet thick. That's insane. So they put it underneath the ice. They take it down to depths of like 10 plus miles, which is also insane. They discover these weird structures that are not anywhere near what they anticipated. And then they say, oh, it's probably from the Earth's spin. Maybe it is. But if you look at the shapes, they are not symmetrical. They are bent a bit like blue mussels. And the reason for that, the symmetry, is Earth's rotation, Wallen said. Water moving on Earth is subject to something called the Coriolis force, which is acting to the left of the direction of motion in the southern hemisphere. If we are correct, there is a force balance in the layer closest to the ice where friction is balanced by the Coriolis force. The result is a spiral flow pattern called an Ekman spiral, which is most commonly seen when winds travel over surface water, but can also be created by water traveling over ice. So to follow up on the survey, researchers returned with the ROV in January of this year. The submersible got lost and it disappeared beneath the ice shelf. So the team's next goal is to return with a new sub and continue surveying the uncharted depths beneath. So what caused this submersible to just vanish after these incredible discoveries? Well, I have my theories, but it's probably not as exciting as what I'm thinking. It takes a lot of energy to, okay, so then it goes on to say it takes a lot of energy to melt ice. So all the ice in Antarctica is like a giant temperature stabilizer and an important part of Earth's climate system, Wallen said. If we learn more about the upper and lower limits, we can also put limits on future sea level rise. In theory, we'll see. And that's livescience.com. Never before seen shapes up to 1,300 feet long discovered beneath Antarctic ice. You can go to the University of Gothenburg, a whole new view on glacier melting in Antarctica. And the paper itself, here it is. So Science Advances, Swirls and Scoops, Ice Space Melt Revealed by Multi-Beam Imagery of an Antarctic Ice Shelf. Knowledge gaps about how the ocean melts Antarctica's ice shelves, born from a lack of observations, lead to large uncertainties in sea level predictions. Using high-resolution maps of the underside of Dotson ice shelf, West Antarctica, we reveal the imprint that ice shelf basalt melting leaves on the ice. Convection and intermittent warm water intrusions form widespread karst features through slow melting in quiescent areas, while shear-driven turbulence rapidly melts smooth, eroded topographies and outflow areas, as well as enigmatic teardrop-shaped indentations that result from boundary layer flow rotation, full-thickness ice fractures with bases modified by basalt melting and convective processes are observed throughout the area. This new wealth of processes, all active under a single ice shelf, must be considered to accurately predict future Antarctic ice shelf melt. Whoa, cool. Let's take a look at some of these images here. Swirls and scoops. Ice space melt revealed by multi-beam imagery of an Antarctic ice shelf. Figure 1, you can see right here. So, reference elevation model of Antarctica mosaic of DIS with the regions and features discussed in the text labeled basalt channel features. That's the dashed lines. Wow, look at that. That is cool. C, smaller subterraces. They're 10 miles down, folks. 50,000 plus feet below the ice. And they're capturing these weird anomalies. 1,000 feet in length. This right here, I wanted to show you. I wanted to take a look at Google Maps. If we go back to 1978, the National Snow and Ice Data Center offers some of our data in forms of images. From these, we have created Google Earth files that enable you to view them on a virtual globe. Our goal is to help people better understand the cryosphere, where the world is frozen, by making our data more visible and interactive. Featured data highlights some of our most requested data, as well as our newest Google Earth files. So we're going to look at September sea ice, the minimum, and March maximum, the extents from 1979 to 2023. You can see a substantial difference. And it's also interesting to note, too, like, I've got family that does an Alaskan cruise every single year. And my mom was telling me about how she's noticed a huge difference in the glaciers over the past 20 years out there in Alaska. She says they're not nearly what they used to be. So there clearly is something going on with the environment and the climate. What extent the sun and humanity has on these climate changes is definitely up for debate, and there's a lot of information still to come out on both aspects. And I think all of the above. I think that the sun clearly has an effect on the climate, and I think people clearly have an effect on the climate. And it's interesting to see what's going to happen over the next 20 years with technologies and with nature. So be prepared, not scared. But let's take a look at this. Let's watch this from 1978, the end of 1978 to 2023. And here we go. And definitely, you can see a difference around 2006, 2008, 2011. Oh, yeah, 2012. Interesting to note, with as much ice as it appears has been lost, flooding on coastal zones, at least here in the States, hasn't been what was predicted 20, 30, 40 years ago. So just something that I'm thinking about. Another very interesting article that isn't very pleasant is from Axios. Warmest ocean temperatures in 400 years threaten Great Barrier Reef. Extreme ocean temperatures in the coral sea surrounding Australia's Great Barrier Reef hit their highest levels in at least 4 centuries this year, scientists report on Wednesday. Corals can recover, but if there are back-to-back events that don't allow them enough time to do so, they can die, with potentially devastating consequences for other marine life and people who depend on it for their livelihood. Team of researchers said their models show greenhouse gas emissions and changes in land use, as well as ozone changes, are responsible for the warming trend. The heat extremes are occurring too often for the corals to effectively adapt and evolve. Study co-author Benjamin Henley, a paleoclimatologist at the University of Melbourne, said in a press briefing about the new research published Wednesday in the journal Nature. So what they did, as corals grow over centuries, chemical signatures of their environment are recorded in the skeleton, leaving timestamp markers of the sea surface temperature and other conditions. In the current study, researchers analyzed the ratio of strontium to calcium and the ratio of oxygen isotopes in coral skeletons to reconstruct SSTs between 1618 and 1995. They combined that data with direct measurements spanning 1900 to 2024. And what they found was before 1900, sea surface temperatures in the Coral Sea and the Great Barrier Reef were relatively stable, but there has been a strong warming trend since then. Mass coral bleaching occurred on the reef in the southern hemisphere summers of 2016, 2017, 2020, 2022, and 2024, years when the sea surface temperatures were up to 1 degree Celsius above the estimated average. January to March of 2024 is the most extreme in the full 400-year record, said Henley, who conducted the study when he was a researcher at Wollongong University. The recent events are extreme in nature in terms of the last 4 centuries, he said, describing them as unprecedented events. Let's take a look at the paper from Nature real quick, and let's go there. Highest ocean heat in 4 centuries placed Great Barrier Reef in danger. Now, when you look at the figures here, it does become pretty apparent, according to this data. Let's look at the full-size images. The mass bleaching is where these X's are, and you can see the dates and the times. Here's the locations of the coral cores. All right around here. Widespread high SSTAs during GBR mass bleaching events. You see right around here. Recent mass bleaching, 2016, 2017, 2020, 2022, and 2024. Maybe we could use some of that supercomputer processing power to figure out ways to offset some of these catastrophic events. You know, like the coral bleaching, the oceans warming. Although maybe they have and they didn't like what they saw. I don't know, folks, but be prepared, not scared, right? And it's all about balance. And you know what else you should do? You should hit that bell for all notifications and check back daily for new content and be excellent to each other. And check us out over on Patreon and leakproject.com and be the change you want to see. Have a beautiful day. We'll get through this. Oh, yeah.